So it's been about a year that we've had the Epson ET-2850, and it sits right here below me at this desk, and it is our primary printer, and I actually print on it way more than I thought that I would be printing. So I think that I've given it a really good test over the year in regards to ink consumption. Now, previously to the 2850, I was using a Hewlett-Packard printer, which we actually still have downstairs. But I have gone through, probably in the first year or two, I would say 3 or 4 for sure, ink cartridges on the first years that we had that printer. And of course, as we all know, ink printers can be fairly expensive. So last year when Epson reached out and asked if we wanted to test the 2850, I was totally down for it. Because we've probably all seen the ads that come out from Epson about these new eco tanks. And the 2850 has been a real pleasure to work with. A few things, we still have, I would say, half of the black is still available. And black's probably for the majority of us, the color that we all use the most. So I still have probably about half tank, maybe even more. And all the other colors, cyan, magenta, and yellow, because I don't do photographs on it, but of course you do print the occasional things that have color headers and things like that. I'm sitting at probably 3/4, so lots of ink. And I say that, and there's a video that you probably just saw, and you may say, well, it's, 3/4, that seems like a fair bit of ink. But one of the things that you will learn once you install ink on one of these printers, any of the EcoTank printers, is that after you fill the tanks up and they're fill at their line, the very moment you initialize the printer and initialize the ink, a lot of that ink actually gets sucked into the printer. So right off the bat, right when you start it and start your printing, you probably lose, well, not really lose, but it moves out of the tank, and you probably go down almost 1/4. So they're doing really well. I would expect on my 2850 to easily get another year, maybe even 2 years out of the ink. Now, one of the things you have to realize with that is that you do want to make sure that you are either printing occasionally just to make sure that none of the ink kind of dries up and gets gunked up, or just run some of the maintenance programs on it. So I try to do at least once every month. If I don't print, I'll do one of the extra cleanings or the deep cleanings on it so that it has a chance to spray all the nozzles and get all the gunk out of it. Install on the 2850, of course, was really easy. I'll put a link down below if you guys want to go down and see the video that I put out a year ago when I first set it up. But yeah, it's been a fantastic printer. But my daughter, our daughter, is starting university, actually has started university. She's been there for a week now, and was asking for a printer. So I figured I'd give her this one because Epson decided to send me the new 4850. So 4850, 2850, what are the physical differences? A few things in regards to how it functions, how it actually works. As you can see here, the 2850, you're looking at 2.5 pages per minute in black, 5 pages per minute for color. And again, that can vary if you're putting actual, photo printer in there and doing a photo, you're not going to print that fast. But if you're just printing out, of course, like a text document with color or things like that, or even a photograph in color, it can punch it out pretty fast if it's not in like quality mode, but more in draft mode. The 2850 has Wi-Fi and mobile printing, which is cool. There's a little screen on the front, and I didn't really expect this to be a big deal, but it's a 1.44-inch color screen, and there's a lot of things you and I can do directly from the printer. And on the small printer like that, printer screen, the small screen, not that it's an issue, but you really have to be accurate with your finger. 100 sheet paper tray, for a lot of us that's lots. 2-sided printing, which is fantastic. 2-year warranty. Comes in, this is Canadian prices, comes in at the MSRP of about $400. And right now, 3.6, I had expected it to be more because I love this printer. I thought it would be a lot higher. Now, when you go to the 4850, you are going up in price, considerably. $650 for this printer, but I think you are going for a printer that's a little bit more of like a home printer. to something that's a little bit more of a real, like a university printer or a home office printer, and that's primarily what I use it for. It's kind of like a home office. So again, you have the EcoTank, 15.5 pages per minute in black. So again, faster, about 5 pages faster. 8.5 pages per minute in color, so you're getting about 3 pages faster. You get the addition of Ethernet, so if you are someone that has Ethernet in your home, this can be really nice. It's going to make your printer a little bit more secure, of course, and ties directly into your network, not having it to be on Wi-Fi. Bigger color screen. Again, you may not think that's big, but when you are using this screen to actually move around, to go to maintenance, to do firmware updates, etc., that can be kind of nice. 250 sheet capacity paper tray, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the video feature. Again, more paper, you don't have to go playing around with it as much. Auto document feeder, yes, 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 and that's again really nice. Especially this is useful for the scanning, which I don't believe the other one has. No, the other one for the scanner, you have to, it's a flatbed, you just lay it, but the 4850 document feeder, so that's cool. Two-sided printing, of course, 2-year warranty, and again, $650. And this is kind of the information that the Epson website has, so you guys can go there if you want to kind of see the differences between the two and kind of figure out if you want to spend that extra on the 4850. Because, you know, the 2850 for us has been really a great printer, and it'll be a great printer for our daughter at university. But there are a few things outside of these specs that I think are important to kind of realize. First off is the printer is physically a little bigger. Now, I don't think it's a whole lot wider or deeper, but it is a little bit taller. So if you are in a constrained space, that is something that you'll want to kind of be aware of. And it's taller, I think, primarily because of the document feeder for the scanner, but it does make it taller for sure. Again, the Ethernet port. For some, that's going to be important. For some, it doesn't matter. For me, not really that important, but if you are a home office or even like a small office, Ethernet could be important to you. This one, it may not seem like, again, like an important thing, but I find for me really good. Now, again, my printer sits down below here, and as you'll see, the 2850 has a rear feeding paper tray. So it's just a paper tray that kind of stands up and you feed your paper in through the top. Whereas the 4850 has a front loading paper tray. And that front loading paper tray, you feed it in from there, close the tray, you're kind of good to go. And what I do like about that, for me that has the printer under my desk, is I can easily change or add paper just by leaning down, pulling the tray out, putting paper in. Because it's kind of pushed all the way to the back behind under my desk, on the 2850 I needed to replace paper. I really had to get down on the ground to change paper. First world problems? Maybe, but it is important and something that you guys, you know, should be aware of. Paper feeder for the new scanner, of course, on the new one, you do get a full paper feeder, so you can feed page by page in there, not have to scan one page at a time, which you would have to do on the 2850 because of that. So if you are someone that has 10 or 20 pages that you have to scan, you can just pop them all in the paper feeder, hit the scan button, and off you go. So that's really nice as well. The last thing, and I'm not too sure why there's a difference, but maybe you guys out there may be able to explain this, but the 2850 and the 4850 have different power cables. The 2850 is your standard power cable, and your 4850 includes the ground. So again, depending on where you're plugging this in, especially if you're plugging this into maybe an extension cable that you have, you want to make sure that the extension cable has a ground plug if you are getting the 4850. If not, if you're in an area or have an older plugins or whatever it is that do not have that, the 2850 may be a better option because it doesn't require it. So something small, but something that could be actually really important to some of us. 4850 and the 2850, what comes in the box, as far as I can remember back that far, I would say pretty close to exactly the same thing. So you're looking at, you have your like quick start setup manual. It's literally one page. The majority of the setup actually happens either on an app or on your phone or on your computer, Mac or Windows computer. It also is going to come with your black bottle of ink, cyan, magenta, and yellow, because you kind of need ink to run this kind of thing. And last but not least, you're going to get your power cable and you're going to get the physical printer. I'm pretty sure all of these contain the same thing. So one thing to be aware of, no printer cable. So if you do need to physically plug this in, printer cable is included, or on the 4850, if you are going to be plugging this in via Ethernet, you will have to supply your own Ethernet cable as well. Install of the whole thing, super, super good. You actually download an app. The app, see if I can find it here. It's called the Epson Smart Partner, I think it's called. I can't see the whole thing. But you get a QR code in the actual install pamphlet that'll take you to your App Store or the Google Play Store to download it. And it connects via Bluetooth, and you do the rest of the setup actually on the phone. It actually goes through and installs all your date and time and information. It will go through the actual installation, show you how to install the bottles, which is surprisingly easy, which is really good. And each of those bottles actually has a little bit more ink than is required. So if you are in a pinch down the road and you run out of ink in your printer and you save these bottles, you will have a little tiny bit of ink just to kind of top up, which is kind of nice. Other than that, there were some firmware upgrades. The whole process probably took between a half hour and 45 minutes. That's to do the firmware updates, install all the drivers, as well as do on the computer. The computer you get to go through when you install it, all kinds of alignment testing and things like that. So all kinds of important things, but very nice and stuff that's recommended. So install of the ink, painless, super painless. So who's the 2850 for and who's the 4850 for? I would say, honestly, the 4850 for like students, just basic home users, university students, things like that. The 2850 is a great printer, and it will probably do everything that you will ever require it to do. Just watch some of the physical, I want to say, limitations, and it may be just tiny things, but like the front loading tray, that's a big thing for me. The ability to do a document feed, that's a big thing for me. So even as a home user, I kind of like that. But is it worth the $250 price increase? That's really something that only you can answer. But because of those features, larger paper tray, 250 sheets versus 100 sheets, faster printing, so you're getting 5 sheets faster per minute in black, and you're getting, I think, 3 pages per minute faster in color. That can be really important for like a small business, or even maybe even a medium business or a home office, so that you can make sure you're firing this stuff through quicker. So a lot of the things in the 4850 I find could be very valuable for anybody running some kind of office. 2850 for students, 4850 for students and above, but not like large companies. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, I think both printers are fantastic. It's amazing how long the ink lasts. I'm a big fan. And I think if you are looking for a printer for your home office, for going back to school, for university, whatever, I think the Epson printers are definitely printers that you should put on your list and take a look at, because we've been very happy. All right, guys, I'll leave links to Epson's website. You guys can take a look at all of their, what do they call it? EcoTanks? EcoTank family of printers. Oh yes. All right, guys, that's it for me. Big win. Thanks again to Epson. Epson has sent us these printers, but didn't tell us what we had to say. This is my experience over the last year. And maybe you'll get an update video a year from now as I let you know how the 4850 has done. All right, guys, that's it. Links below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.